So today I'm here working at Parr Street Studios here in Liverpool on the recording of a new version of a piece called Different Trains by Steve Reich, the American minimalist composer. This is a very special recording because it's not recording just a release of a piece of music. It's not for a CD or download. It's primarily for a new version of a performance which is going to incorporate for the first time ever a film.
So there's quite a few people involved in the project. We have commissioned a visual collaborator through work with Bill Morrison, who's a New York-based filmmaker and artist. We're obviously incredibly honoured to have Steve Reich directly involved in the project, and through his long-standing collaboration with Sound Intermedia, they'll be at the centre of the live performance. We've also added to the mix London Contemporary Orchestra, who I think will play a big role in the future of the work going forward through the touring of this project across the world.
We performed quite a lot of Steve Reich's music, particularly Different Trains and the triple quartet that we've done at some really nice venues, and actually at festivals quite a lot. So most recently we performed at Latitude Festival in the film and music arena, and it went down really, really well. Yeah, I think Different Trains is always finding a new audience. Like a lot of Steve Reich's music, it's kind of embedded with this pumping rhythm that's always there, which is exciting.
I won't say I can exactly remember the first time, but there was definitely a period in my life where I listened to it a lot. It was my early 20s and I was just completely drawn to it. It's just the most amazing, captivating piece, and it's just something speaks to you really directly, really quickly.
Where the piece is generated from is when the Second World War was happening. Steve looked at that period from his life, and then he wanted to compare it to, as a Jewish man, to Jews across Europe. And so he looked at what was going on in his life at that time, which was he was moving from New York to Los Angeles because his parents had separated. He had to go on this journey with a nanny, and he remembers that. It's quite a vivid memory for him. So what he wanted to do was say, well, that's what I was doing, but what was people of my age doing in Europe at that time? So what he decided to do was find some material that linked the two things together, the two stories together. He recorded his nanny and her memories of the journey, and then somebody who worked on the rail system at the time in America and their memories of that period. And then he recorded survivors of the Holocaust who were of similar age to him and their memories of the train journeys and the characters they met and what was happening in their lives at that time. So you've got these two different places going on that he puts across in the music very clearly.
Yeah. Okay, one more. Here we go again. 71.
He also then looked back at the sounds of the train journeys from America and Europe at the same time, and uses them as rhythmic material and emotional sounds and evocative sounds that he places the quartets against. So you've got chugging of trains, you've got the bell ringing of the trains, you've got whistles, the kind of steam whistle sounds, and you've also got sirens, of the war sirens of the time. And so he blends the two ideas together, so you create this momentum of speed shifting like a train does, getting faster and faster and getting slower and slower with gear shifts, but at the same time the story of what was happening historically is shifting as well. It's an incredibly amazing emotional journey as a piece, because you can get lost in the sort of train side of it, the mechanics of it, because that's very, very obvious and clear. But I think the end part's very clever because it breaks it all down again. The trains have stopped and we're just experiencing this kind of emotional release from what went on.
Typically the performance of Different Trains works that you have a recording of 3-string quartet and the electronic parts, and a live string quartet plays over the top. But for the recording at Parr Street, we're doing something special and we're separating out the lines a little. So for the performance at Metal, we'll have a bit more separation in the sounds of the string quartets. We're also going to have kind of a bit more spatialization of the sound. So when you're at the live performance, you'll hear steam trains coming from different directions and stuff like that. So yeah, it's going to be a bit more special.
I think they should have a run-in.
The thing about having our own recording is that we are able to have every single element as a separate sound. So every string instrument and every sound is under my control for the live show. Because we're going to be at Edge Hill Station, we're going to be in a place where trains are running, it's going to have this incredible sense of play.
So Edge Hill is the oldest active passenger railway station in the world, and it's an aspect of our programme that we utilise a lot in our work with artists. So we will invite artists to respond to that history through their practices. It's obviously a real honour to have Steve Reich present at the performance, and for that to be just days before his 80th birthday, which is obviously a really significant moment, really, when all eyes will be on him and his body of work. In addition to that, it will be the live premiere of this new recording. And for the first time in the composition's 28-year history, we're going to have this visual accompaniment. So I think those factors combined really do represent a wonderful site-specific presentation of the work, but also represent a new era for a very established work.
We've got a chance here to actually explore the fact that the sounds of the actual place we're in are going to play a part in this piece by adding to that with our own pre-recorded sounds that come from the piece. So hopefully we can expand the kind of stage area for the audience. So some of that will be surround, some of it will be firing away from the audience and bouncing off whatever's out there. So that's a unique aspect to this performance. The other unique aspect is we have a film for the first time. There's never been a film made for this piece, and Bill Morrison will have created one of his amazing decaying film pieces that will just bring a whole new level, I think, to the experience.